Starting with Mr. Forrest, the Minderoo Foundation was established by yourself as far back as 2001. You took a very proactive and ahead of its time step of linking it to sustainability by feeding the profits from a profitable business into driving your agenda. Could you please tell us, firstly, what drove you to have such a far-sighted approach, and what advice you would give to other charities and NGOs that want to follow in the footsteps of your foundation?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very good question, Chairman. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, just to answer that specifically, I consider that you can sleep in one bed at night, have 3 meals a day. Anything after that is just froth. And so we chose to generate a substantial business and then generate alongside that substantial business a very substantial group of philanthropies which budget expenditures based on the profitability of the business. And I hope that this can now can continue over the long term. I believe it can. Our business operations are being planned out for many decades, and I hope that, that it will last for a century or more. But the issues we take on, I hope, will not last beyond 2025. The biggest issue we have taken on is modern slavery, and I say to everyone in this room, if you're thinking about pursuing a cause, pursue something from your heart. Really doesn't matter what it is or where it is, but your heart will correct you from the fallacy of pride. Your heart will direct you towards areas of the world which needs most of the attention which your personality and which your courage and which your leadership and capital can bring to that issue. Follow your heart. Ours was modern slavery. When my daughter was 14, she's now 24, so 10 years ago, she came across a very nasty child trafficking incident in Kathmandu, Nepal. I took my daughter back there when she was 16 to now thoroughly investigate the child trafficking industry, and we were horrified to find just how deep and extensive it was. My daughter then went to university and has committed her life to ending, like me, modern slavery for every breath that we ever take. We're pursuing it with absolute passion. One of the reasons why I became so determined is because when seeing if I was qualified to pursue modern slavery, I had to see if my own hands were clean as a business person. So I quickly investigated my supply chains. It wasn't difficult, business people in this room. It was just sending an affidavit out to all our suppliers, asking them to guarantee to me by promise that they'd looked at their own supply chains and the supply chains to them, just first and second order supply chains, and they could come back and guarantee to stay serving customer and client of Fortescue that they had no slavery in their supply chains. Sadly, many of them refused to sign that form, and upon investigation I found deep and rampant slavery in my own supply chains, making goods for my company and the same goods for many in the top 500 Forbes index, which means, of course, they all had slavery in their supply chains. So on really now pursuing modern slavery from the integrity of personal experience, we decided that the best way we could do this is by measurement and by empowerment. I just want to speak with you about that. We now measure slavery all over the world. We were invited by the British government to draw a measurement of the reaction and management effectiveness of modern slavery amongst all the Commonwealth countries. A massive population base, trillions of dollars of economic growth and GDP, a huge contributor to the world, over 30% of the world's population, but 14% of the world's GDP. Why that imbalance? Well, that imbalance is due in many ways to human rights. There is no example whatsoever in history where a community or a company or a country, when they've released their people from the yoke of slavery, have not had an increase in the quality of living and a drive in the value of their company or an increase in the strength of their economy, and it's measurable. This is a clear and obvious economic dividend. I myself have pledged that we'll put in $250 million to countries who drive and whose presidents and cabinets take the actual physical commitment and enforce their laws to end modern slavery. It is those countries, ladies and gentlemen, which will show the greatest growth. And where is there some low-hanging fruit? Well, in modern slavery, as we measure it around the world, and we measure it with the Gallup organisation, we poll every country in the world with the ILO in partnership. 71% of all people, of the 40 million people in slavery, are girls and women. And I just say to the leaders in this room, if you allow forced marriage or child marriage in your countries, you're keeping down two critical parts of your economy: consumption and production. I hate to be very economic about it, but I'm appealing to leaders, and I have a limited time, so I must do it directly. If you hold down consumption and production amongst 50% of your population, you will grow, but your sovereign competitors will outstrip you. You will grow to a point, and then you will plateau out. And those countries who empower women and girls, ensure their daughters have the same educational opportunity as their boys, have equality of rights of women to men, your economy will keep on growing while others will plateau. If for no other reason but for the morality of our very humanity, we must crush modern slavery from within our borders. We must empower women and girls, and we will then take our place in the world as a Commonwealth family of countries where we do not have twice our population percentage to half of our share of global gross domestic product. We empower women and children. We educate girls freely to the same standard as our boys. We eliminate modern slavery, and our economies will outstrip the rest of the world as a family of the Commonwealth. Thank you.